looking at what we got this year for the Heroes anniversary, it makes me question why some celebrations in Dokkan kind of operate the way they do. And I'll say this right now, I understand that Heroes is only once a year, so when they do Heroes big, which is funny because most of the times, pretty much almost all the time, the units that release, the new units at least, aren't really that great, besides, of course, Vegito here, and maybe even like Janemba. But the point is that we have, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 new characters. We have three new Dokkan Awakenings. We have these two here, plus the Zeno Trunks. Then we have 8 EZAs plus the free-to-play EZA is 9. 3 free-to-play buffs. This is, again, great. Amazing. Just from the character side of things. The content that also comes along, like the burst mode, the Dokkan event, the challenge missions, the red zone stuff, like all of that. And this is only like a one-part celebration, right? Like if you look at this celebration, this one-parter, does a lot more and accomplishes a lot more than a lot of 2, maybe even 3-part celebrations that Dokkan has. And I'm going to compare it to the anniversary, and not in the sense of, oh my god, like, Heroes is way better than the anniversary. That's definitely not the case. All the free stuff that the anniversary provides is definitely way superior than Heroes, like A. B, the value on the banner. Like, I know this is guaranteed featured, but most of the time, Heroes doesn't really offer the craziest amount of characters, right? So I would argue that even though it's guaranteed featured, the value the anniversary banners have are just better because the units on the banners themselves, like, I would rather do 3 multis to pull, let's say, you know, here, let me pull this up here. I'd rather do 3 multis and pull 1 STR Cooler and 1 Gamma 1 than do 3 multis here and pull 3 King Fus, right? So it's like, value-wise, the anniversary is just, again, and plus the anniversary units themselves, the new units themselves tend to be the best units in the game. So from that perspective, yes, the anniversary is better. But I think just content-wise, I can definitely see the anniversary. I feel comfortable saying the anniversary feels a little bit lackluster. And again, I'm not saying the content is not there. I'm just comparing it to something that, like, this is a one-part celebration. The anniversary doesn't really give out 9 EZAs like that. Like here, right? In part 1, we had, of course, the 2 new characters. We had a bunch of tickets and missions and events and stuff like that, which of course was really good. New events that introduced new free-to-play characters. That's also really good. I'm not really the biggest fan of, like, I'd rather, if these free-to-play URs that they, you know, end up releasing aren't that great. They don't really have any. I'd rather have 2 free-to-play LRs, honestly, than 3 random free-to-play characters. That's just, you know, my opinion. But we had 2 Dokkan Festival EZAs in part 1, which of course is very good, right? I'm not complaining, saying that's not enough. It is very good. But when it comes to certain categories and certain teams that just need more buffs, like when a celebration passes and a specific character or 2 that could have really helped the team they were pushing for that celebration don't get an EZA, I think it's a problem, right? So let's say the theme of the 10th year or 9th year anniversary is Fused Fighters, right? So every character that's going to be released is going to be under the Fused Fighters category, if you will. So what Dokkan would usually do is they'd release 2 headliners, 2 banner units, which is essentially 6 new characters, right? Sorry, 4 new characters right there. And then they would essentially pick 2 characters to get an EZA, maybe even 1 if it's an LR. So they could EZA, let's say LR, STR, Goku, and Vegeta, right? That could be like the part 1 EZA. Part 2, if they really wanted to, could be the Tech Gogeta EZA, right? Maybe EZA for Super 17, just stuff like that. What I would personally prefer, just going based off the fact that they're not scared to release 9 EZAs in a span of like overnight, what if Dokkan did something like, okay, let's just look at the Fused Fighter characters that we have here, right? Let's just assume no one here had an EZA. No one had an EZA. So you can target 1 Dokkan Fest, right? 1 Dokkan Fest gets an EZA. Let's say in this case, it's Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. And we get, let's say, just a standalone banner unit EZA. Let's say this STR Gotenks gets an EZA. Let's assume no one here has an EZA. So Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta gets an EZA. Like that's the Dokkan Fest EZA for the celebration. and then 2 to 3 banner units get an EZA, and the event looks similar to an event that had all of these characters get an EZA, right? So it's like one of those joint EZAs where you complete it 30 stones and you get all the medals required to EZA 1 to 2 to 3 characters, right? So part 1 has 4 EZAs, 1 Dokkan Fest and 3 other characters that again could buff that. And then part 2, they could say, let's go ahead and EZA LR STR Vegito, right? And then some sub EZAs that they could do. Let's say, again, let's Piccolo for, again, the stuff I'm saying here, like the characters I'm putting together don't really make sense. I just want you to understand the concept. So STR Vegito can get an EZA, and then a sub EZA for this Vegito, and then the Int Vegito, and then, you know, I don't know, right? Like AGL Zamasu, right? That could be another sub EZA. I mean, I guess he is the Dokkan Fest, but you get the point, right? I think EZAs, they could do again, depending on the category or the theme of the celebration, they can do a lot more. Because 9 EZAs, dude, in overnight, compared to what, like 2, 4, maybe 6, maybe 7 EZAs for an entire anniversary celebration. I feel like anniversary on some levels can definitely step their game up, right? Because I didn't like the 8th year anniversary was definitely hype. Every anniversary is hype. But there was moments during the anniversary where it's like, okay, what's coming next? Like, we're just waiting now. And if they had it to where we had 1, or let's say 2 EZA events per part, 1 for like the main EZA, the main Dokkan Fest, the main LR, and then another sub EZA event where you had 3-4 characters EZAing, that would allow for a really nice, I guess, gap or way to kind of time gate content. And when I say time gate, I'm saying not release everything overnight and allow things to kind of like procedurally drop in Dokkan. So for example, part 1, right? The banners themselves drop, okay? And then 2 days later, Super Saiyan 4 EZA drops. Then 3 days later after that, the sub EZA for some characters drop. And then a few days after that, you know, the free-to-play character of the anniversary releases, right? And you have to grind them up a certain amount of time. And then a few days after that, then let's say, you know, some new stages and events and just things like that. And then when part 2 releases, it'll feel like we've been getting things every 2-3 days. So it feels like the anniversary just continues to give out content instead of things like here where it's like, and again, I'm pointing out Heroes because this is a 1-part celebration. So there's no part 2 or part 3, but a lot of anniversary, a lot of big celebrations will give out most of the content, most of it during part 1, like, as soon as the units drop, a few hours later, most of the content for the celebration is out. Then we'll wait for things like burst mode. We'll wait for things like chain battle. We'll wait for things like, you know, what else? Some like an EZA here, an EZA there. But waiting 3, 4, 5 days for one event is not as exciting, in my opinion, than getting content every 2-3 days. Like kind of like getting drip fed content. So then when part 2 dropped, it's like we've been getting content all this time. Now part 2 is here. Now 2 new characters, and in 2 days another LR EZA, and then 2-3 days later more sub EZAs, and then, you know. So I feel like, again, I'm not trying to call anniversary, you know, inferior to Heroes, but I feel like Heroes sets a great example at what level of, I guess, new characters anniversaries and things I think should technically meet. And even if they were to release more free-to-play characters for the anniversary, I don't think we'd really be upset at that. Like, what's wrong with releasing 2 free-to-play characters during the anniversary and then 1 really busted free-to-play character, like TUR character, right? Like, I don't really see anything wrong with that. And Dokkan, like last year, the 7th year anniversary gave 1 free-to-play LR and 2 free-to-play TURs, right? The Goku and Vegeta, sorry, the Goku and Chi-Chi, the Vegeta and Bulma, and the kids, right? The LR, you know, Gohan, Trunks, and Goten. This year, we got 2 free-to-play characters, the Hercule and LR free-to-play Babidi. So that was a downgrade from last year, when, in my opinion, at least the free stuff should be upgrading every single year. And I guess if you want to look at it from the 77 ticket multi perspective, or all the free rewards perspective, or like, I feel like Dokkan does a great job at that. But free-to-play characters, like when I'm free to play and I don't want to spend money, I am looking at getting my hands on, if it's not going to be the top tier characters, at least a free-to-play character that can resemble, that has the same mechanics, which Dokkan does wonderfully. Every anniversary LR shares the free-to-play LR shares the same mechanics that the new LRs introduce, right? So I love how Dokkan does that. But to make those characters A, better, B, 2 LRs instead of 1, and then maybe like a free-to-play TUR, or things that can really help players just build teams. Like I feel like Dokkan could do better, dude. With a whole celebration giving 9 EZAs for one part, Dokkan could really step up their game. And the 9th year anniversary, dude, can really be like the best celebration in Dokkan history, right? 2 part 1 banners with 2 banner units. So that's 4 characters in total new for part 1. The carnival banners in part 2 will just be the carnival banners in part 2. We can get 1 major EZA in each part of the celebration, right? And then, or maybe even 2 main EZAs during part 3. And then let's say a sub EZA every part of the celebration, 2 to 3 to 4 characters. So you could end up having like anywhere from like 6, 8, 10, even 12 characters get an EZA. So for players who don't pull the new character, at least you're experiencing a lot of buffs in your account for teams and for units that you might have had for a really long time. I don't know. Again, Heroes releasing all this content is a massive W. Definitely the best Hero celebration so far, and I hope that they don't really hold back during anniversary. I feel like you guys understand what I'm saying, right? Like anniversary, 8th anniversary, in my opinion, the best celebration, right? I guess you could say worldwide is too. So I'm not taking anything away from it. I'm just saying when you have other celebrations that are not, really as hype as the anniversary itself, give out more content in a smaller window of time. I feel like Dokkan. I'm not asking for 10 EZAs in part 1. I'm just saying that Dokkan can do a better job of drip feeding the content, but also providing a little bit more content in terms of characters, in terms of EZAs, free-to-play characters. Because again, they do a great job with Infinite Dragon Ball History, SPR here, SPR there, Chain Battle, Ultimate Clash, right? Legendary events, legendary missions. Like, they do a great job with all those events and all those missions and all that. But new characters or EZAs for characters, I think Dokkan can really step up their game in that department. But let me know what you think. Hopefully you enjoyed. We're so close to 60.8K, so hopefully you'll go ahead and support the dream, become a part of something bigger than even myself, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care and peace.